Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling, as you see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhallow today in a very late night episode. It was late because of D&D, but it's also even later because I just got a little bit lazy, I'm going to be real, with actually recording. Not that I should be, because to be honest, I should start building up a backlog once again, but alas, that is not the case. What should we talk about today? I'm not really sure. The D&D session was pretty good today. Some things which very much did catch me off guard, but as a DM you just sort of got to roll with it, and it's always the micro things which catch you off guard, but we'll get into that. Good evening everyone. Right now in Fawnhallow it's 11:59 PM on Friday, January 24th, 2025. Because there's some parts of DMing which is pretty hard, but some parts which are pretty easy, to be honest, and to like pull the veil back. I think the parts which are harder is when you do a lot of planning for something which doesn't sort of come to pass. Like, luckily, my players are pretty good at being like, oh yeah, we understand that obviously this is a game. This is not like a thing where you can improv literally everything, because it's like, some things will be impromptu, of course, but some things will be planned, and, they are incentivized to want to hit the story beats that are like ones I planned, because that are ones which relate to their character. The ones I don't have planned are probably just random things, which are completely fine as well, but it's sort of like a soft influence. So, the macro things, which, I actually spoke with this group a little bit about it, that was, like, sometimes it happens, like, there was one combat which I did have planned. I'm not going to say when, and I'm not going to say where, who, or when it happened. The one I remembered, and they just avoided it entirely, essentially. And I was like, okay, fair enough, if that doesn't happen, that doesn't happen. And I'm not too bothered, really, if combat gets missed. I'm only more bothered if it's combat which feels like it should be a vital part of the story, which makes sense. Like, obviously, one group is fighting the undead, one group is fighting with demons. It would be weird if they basically never fought the undead or demons, or had problems caused by them, right? And there was a combat which was potentially planned for this session. I didn't know if they would get onto it, or they wouldn't, or they'd avoid it entirely, but I was like, this one might not necessarily come to pass. But one of my players very much setting me up with a set in volleyball, and I was like, alright, if you do that, I'll go down with a spike. Like, they probably knew what they were doing. They were probably like, yeah, this is gonna be something crazy, but we'll see if Dear Darling's got something planned for it. And I did. But yeah. But it's always the smaller things which really catch you off guard, I suppose. Like, it's just like some most random things. Like I said in a previous session, where one of the people was just like, oh, I want to entertain, and one of them set them up for the other to be like entertain, and then the person just did a backflip randomly, and I was like, what? Sometimes it's just very odd, like things like that. This time as well. There are a few random things. I gave one of my players like a wonder, and then they just used it like while they were just inside talking to allies, and I was like, oh my god. In my mind I was like, I really hope this is not a terribly bad thing, because that things could go south very, very quickly. But very fortunately, both times it got casted, neither of the things did damage. So I was just like, whew, okay, it can be dealt with. And there's one thing which actually did catch me quite off guard, where there was basically this ongoing joke about eating your vegetables, essentially, and then like one of the players was like, oh yeah, promises that he will eat his veggies essentially, and then they were walking through a garden, and he was like, oh yeah, are there any like plantations or whatever, like farmable crops or something, which I can like pick up. He didn't say it like that. I forgot the word he used, but it's midnight, whatever, my brain's gone. And at that moment, that's something which people, obviously I don't know what this garden looks like. I didn't think about that nor plan it beforehand. And that's, I think, the part which people think is going to be the hard part of DMing. Like improvising that, being like something you've literally never thought about, improvise an answer. But honestly, any answer basically works, right? Obviously I did not think about what the garden would have looked like, but I thought about the characters the garden belonged to, what they would like it to look like, and how I described the intro scene in the first place. And I was like, would it make sense for there to be a thing here? And I actually got it wrong this time. Like, initially I said, okay, based on what I said, no, but then I thought about it a bit more, and I was like, wait, actually based on characters it would make sense that they grow some things here. So I said, no, not that, but yes, there would be something else. No, but, and yes, and of course, the golden rules of improv, kind of. So honestly, like, that part seems like it would be one of the harder parts of DMing, but it's actually quite easy. The harder part, I suppose, is when, of course, my player followed up by being like, they basically picked up like what I described was like a magical component, which you don't know what it is. And he goes, all right, I eat it. And I go, what? Obviously, seeing as I improv'd that entire part in the first place, I did not have a magical effect like ready at hand to be like, this is what happens if he eats a random vegetable from this person's garden. And I was like, okay, you know what? I will sort of think over that for a little bit, buy myself a little bit of time by having it be a more of a invisible effect. This happened like in a matter of like a minute or something. Like I was just like, okay, you know, why don't you roll a Constitution saving throw? Did I pull back the curtain? Did I have an effect in mind at that point? No, but I was like, Constitution saving throw makes sense. Let's see. And then in that like time from him choosing to do that and rolling and seeing a result, I basically decided on what it would be. So you do have to think quick on your feet, but you know, you buy yourself time a little bit. You know, ask for a roll, and then you know, consider it. Like obviously, you shouldn't do that every time. And obviously that doesn't happen every time, because a lot of times, you know, they'll ask something and I'll be like, yeah, I knew you would probably ask something like that. This is the answer, comes immediately to mind. But, you know, when it's when it's sort of like the layers of improv, when you do something and then something happens and then they do something else and you're just like, damn, like this is like so far out of what was initially planned, it's going to be a little bit confusing. But sometimes you just make something up, and sometimes it does some work, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Obviously this is a very low stakes one because it was nothing more than something comedic, so you kind of got to match the tone, right? I picked something which is not that serious. It was going to be, if anything, a little bit comedic. So match tone with tone, that's my DM advice. And like Rowan here, feel the vibe and start dancing apparently. But what should I talk about? Can I talk about? No, I'm not going to talk about that yet. Not yet. Should I talk about it? I don't know. No, I'll save it for another time. I was thinking about it, but it was Squid Game related. But yeah, I'm very excited. I've got 2 episodes left of it. Would I watch the next episode a little bit early? Maybe. It kind of depends. They do a fantastic thing of ending each episode basically as like a game is about to begin. I'm just like, I want to see what the game is. But no, what are we going to talk about today? I'm not really sure. I would say, if anything, I'm going to have like an overload of games to play right now because Honkai Star Rail, I still haven't finished the main Trailblazer quest. I've been playing through it as best as I can. I think I'm like 3/4 of the way through. But it's like, it's really long. I'm having a great time. I'm enjoying it. I like the world. This world has a lot of lore and world building in it, which I find fascinating because it's something which is very different. There's been some big lore drops and I'm like, whoa, what is going on? But the Zenless Zone Zero new patch has also just been released, and now the Genshin Impact, the new event, the Lantern Rite has just been released, and I'm like, oh my god, there's like 3 major quests I need to play through or something. I haven't played Valorant in like a week or something. I was even considering playing a little bit today because I saw some friends were playing, but then I went and then I came back and they weren't playing anymore, and I was like, nah, whatever. I'll play a different day. I'm not too fussed about it. Because it's only, you know, the vibe is, you know, play till 2 a.m. and then you wake up and you're like, oh, I'm so tired. Actually, I'm doing something very exciting tomorrow, I think, but I'll talk about that more, I suppose, afterwards. Actually, no, I'll probably record the episode before that, so... yeah, what should we talk about? Let's see, Arshas Games, what's going on? Well, I don't know, we could just talk about, like, a lot of stories, like, many quests to be doing. It's going to be very confusing, because I'm probably going to title it, like, Story Quest or something, but it's not going to make any sense. I mean, obviously, I understand that it's the sort of gacha way of doing things. They have limited time events, and then they'll eventually, like, expire, which encourage you to be like, yes, play our game. Same thing with, like, Battle Pass, being like, yes, play our game. And on the whole, I would say mostly it does work pretty well for me, because I do like having small amounts to basically continuously play over a bit by bit, rather than having like something which is like a long thing which I need to play like right now immediately. And to be fair, with the Star Rail thing, I don't need to play right now. It's a permanent content. I think it's only the Genshin Impact one, which I guess is limited technically, and technically some ZZZ ones, some of it is limited because some events are locked behind that quest. But nonetheless, it's sort of like a, you know, there's like a, it's almost like spoiled for choice, if anything. It is spoiled for choice, being like, I have so many things which I could do. Am I going to do them? I don't know. There's too many. I'm also drawing something. I need to do the thumbnail arts for the next puzzle game one, because I think Talos Principle 2 might end next week. If it's not next week, it will be the week after. It depends basically how long the ending cutscene stuff is and how much post-game content, if any, there is. I don't have a DLC. I guess I could consider continuing, like, if worst comes to worst and I don't finish the thumbnail art nearly in time, then I will just buy the DLC and we'll just continue on with the DLC. But I like to say the DLC is sort of something to jump back to, in case it's like, oh, you know, I don't have any, like, time to make a next thumbnail art, this is what will tide us over. Like, that's what I did with Bug Fables, and I think I've done it with Spiritfarer to tide us over. I can still do it technically with Talos Principle 1. I don't have a Talos Principle 1 DLC, and it doesn't really make sense to do it, I think, from Talos Principle 2 to Talos Principle 1, because I want to go to... You notice with the Let's Plays that I jump between that, they go to, like, something of the same genre, but a different style. You know, like, I'm trying to think of a good example. I can't even remember what followed what, to be honest, off the top of my head. But, like, didn't we go... I don't know. No, I'm legit going to have to look at my playlist because I don't even remember. What went to what? Like, what was before Everhood? Stray. Oh, yeah, we went from Stray, which is a very sort of casual, chill, story-driven, to Everhood, which is still story-driven, but it's much more mechanical. I don't remember what was before Stray. Goodbye Volcano High, which was straight up just like a visual novel, wasn't it? So we try and sort of jump around the genres to mix things up, or to my own personal tastes, but not always, of course. It doesn't always end up working. But yeah, it's just like I have like an abundance of like stories that I could engage with and things to do, which is always a problem to have. And sometimes, you know, you find yourself not doing any of them, which, yes, of course, happens to me as well. While I like to sort of rag on about efficiency, etc, 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 I am still wanting to procrastinate sometimes, or sometimes I'm still like, I don't have the energy to do something. But yeah, I mean, basically what's been going on is I've just been playing the Star Rail quest, like, before I go to bed, essentially. Like, I play an hour for it, like, each night, and I've been doing it for, like, the past week or something. It's a meaty quest. It's, like, 10 hours long or something. But I must be coming up towards the end of it now. Well, I think so, at least. I'm not exactly sure how it's going to end, nor what the ending point may or may not be. But certainly, we're getting somewhere with it, is basically what I mean to be saying. Somewhere with it in the best way possible. But yeah, I mean, don't even talk to me about all the other, like, character-based story quests, which I haven't got to in Genshin. Like, I only recently did Xianyun's one, Cloud Retainer, who is one of my favourite characters. And I did it basically because it was not a prerequisite, but it was like, oh, this is a good idea to do this before you do the story quest, before you do the event quest for, I don't remember what event quest, the beta event quest, or something. But yeah, it's like a spoilt for choice sort of thing. Because it's weird that sometimes you had to have a right sort of energy. It does not feel weird that, like, you had to have a right vibe or energy to engage with some media properties, you know? Like, you would have thought all the time you'd just be raring to go of, like, oh yeah, I could just, like, watch this TV series, movie, play this game, whatever. Doesn't matter, whenever I have free time, and it would, like, revitalize you. But it doesn't always, like, sometimes it's quite draining, sometimes you're not in the mood for it. That's how it goes. It's kind of like socializing, right? You know, sometimes, like, oh, I, like, always want to, you know, just, like, hang out with my friends, do something, but sometimes you're not always up for it. Which, you know, I suppose there's probably something to be said about, but, like, I'm sure there are people out there who can do full commit to both either way, just, like, anytime, anything, anywhere, hang out with a friend, doesn't matter what, we'll do it, party, rave, doesn't matter, all night long, etc, etc. And for some people who would just be like, yes, just lock me in a room, well, not lock me in a room, I'll lock myself in a room probably, I'll play a game, whatever, start to finish, doesn't matter when the dawn comes, I'm good. But I'd imagine most people probably fall into the scale of somewhere in the middle, right? Where it's not quite so clear cut either way, where it's like, maybe kind of want to mix of both, and there's kind of like vibes, right? I myself, unsurprisingly, somewhere in the middle. When I was younger, I definitely leaned more to the introvert side, but I think nowadays I probably lean I probably still lean more to the introvert side, but, you know, it's probably a lot closer to the middle than it used to be. I don't know. Things are fun. But my time by myself is also fun. But also depends on the type of time by myself, I guess. And also, I guess it depends on the type of time with others. I don't know where I'm going with this. Anyway, the long and short of it is basically I have too many quests in Genshin Impact to be doing at the moment. And I'm slowly getting there. It's just taken a little bit of time. It's gonna take some time to realise that there's a lot to be doing. Which is weird to say in a recreational sense, but it's true. You know, sometimes there are just like a lot of things to do in a recreational sense as well. On that note, I think I'll probably just round this episode off here. I know it's a bit early, but I also don't know what I'm going to talk about, to be honest. So, if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares, greatly appreciated. Socials, Discord down below. Hope we see each other again, but for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye-bye for now.